Around the world, money laundering isn't just a backroom crime committed in secret. It's a high-stakes global game played in plain sight. From glittering airports to luxury hotels, dirty money moves through elite networks designed to outsmart even the most sophisticated law enforcement. Behind every suitcase full of cash lies a web of deception, greed, and international manipulation. One such network operated from the heart of the UK to the wealth-drenched city of Dubai, masterminded by a man named Abdullah Alfalasi. Over £100 million was smuggled right under airport security's nose. And it all began with a single flight in November 2019. Let us get into today's story. In November 2019, a sophisticated money laundering network began operating out of the United Kingdom. At the helm of this scheme was Abdullah Alfalasi, a Dubai-based businessman, who would soon become the mastermind behind one of the most audacious cash smuggling operations the UK had ever seen. The operation structure was deceptively simple. Hire human couriers to fly large amounts of cash, often up to £500,000 per suitcase, from Heathrow Airport to Dubai. These weren't shady back-alley exchanges. Instead, these trips were conducted via legitimate business-class flights, primarily with Emirates Airlines, giving the couriers a veneer of luxury and legitimacy. Alfalasi remained in the shadows, managing the network remotely, while recruiting a mix of experienced smugglers and vulnerable young people. His role was to oversee the coordination, fund the logistics, and build a team capable of moving money quickly and discreetly. At the time, authorities were unaware of the scale about to unfold, but behind the scenes, the first pieces of a vast criminal machine were being quietly set in motion. What started with a single courier flight would soon expand into 83 luxury-class journeys, a WhatsApp group full of coded messages, and a smuggling total of over £100 million. The earliest visible piece of the UK-based operation came in early 2020 with Beatrice Orty, a recruitment consultant from London. On paper, Beatrice was ordinary, a smart, well-spoken young woman working in a corporate office. But behind the scenes, she was looking for something more. She had been introduced to Alfalasi's network through friends already involved and was told it was easy money. Her first trip was in March 2020. She boarded an Emirates flight from Heathrow, business class, with 2 large suitcases. Inside, over £700,000, tightly packed in vacuum-sealed bricks, layered with coffee grounds and air fresheners to throw off sniffer dogs. In Dubai, she checked into a luxury hotel where the handover took place quietly, no words, no drama, just a suitcase swapped in a private room. She flew back 2 days later with a clean passport and £3,000 in her pocket. After her second trip in May, Orty moved into a more central role, organizing flights, training new couriers, and keeping communication flowing through encrypted WhatsApp chats. In the summer of 2020, Emma Larvin, a former model and PR executive, was recruited. Jo had once graced red carpets and worked events with A-list celebrities. By then, she was running her own events business, glamorous on the surface, but financially strained beneath. Through a contact, she was introduced to the Courier ring. She didn't come alone. Her partner, Jonathan Johnson, a fitness coach and former company director, joined her. Together, they were the perfect decoy, respectable, attractive, and inconspicuous. Their first trip took place on August 17, 2020. They checked in separately at Heathrow Airport, each with 2 sleek suitcases, one of which, for each, held nearly £900,000 in hidden compartments. Flying Emirates business class, they sipped champagne while flying across continents with nearly £2 million in undeclared cash between them. In Dubai, they were met by a driver, taken to a hotel where the money was handed over, and then enjoyed a brief stay before flying back. A month later, in September, they repeated the process. This time, they carried slightly less, around £850,000 each, but followed the same routine. Their payment? between £3,000 and £5,000 per trip, plus hotel accommodations. Neither Joe nor Jonathan raised suspicion. They looked like any other couple chasing desert sun. In the summer of 2020, Emma Larvin, a former model and PR executive, was recruited. Jo had once graced red carpets and worked events with A-list celebrities. By then, she was running her own events business, glamorous on the surface, but financially strained beneath. Through a contact, she was introduced to the Courier ring. She didn't come alone. Her partner, Jonathan Johnson, a fitness coach and former company director, joined her. Together, they were the perfect decoy, respectable, attractive, and inconspicuous. Their first trip took place on August 17, 2020. They checked in separately at Heathrow Airport, each with 2 sleek suitcases, one of which, for each, held nearly £900,000 in hidden compartments. Flying Emirates business class, they sipped champagne while flying across continents with nearly £2 million in undeclared cash between them. In Dubai, they were met by a driver, taken to a hotel where the money was handed over, and then enjoyed a brief stay before flying back. A month later, in September, they repeated the process. This time, they carried slightly less, around £850,000 each, but followed the same routine. Their payment? Between £3,000 and £5,000 per trip, plus hotel accommodations. Neither Joe nor Jonathan raised suspicion. They looked like any other couple chasing desert sun. Then came Tara Hanlon, the Courier network's rising star. A 30-year-old operations manager from Leeds, Tara had a bright career ahead of her and no criminal past. But a friend involved in the scheme told her about a little side hustle, a few days in Dubai, a few £1,000s in return. Tempted by the promise of easy luxury and growing financial pressure, Tara agreed. Her first flight took off in August 2020. Like the others, she flew business class on Emirates, with 2 to 3 oversized suitcases, each stuffed with stacks of £20 and £50 notes. On that trip alone, she carried over £370,000. What made Tara different was how quickly she escalated. Between August and September, she made 5 separate courier runs, each time increasing the load. Her second flight involved £430,000, the third £489,000, and the fourth £545,000. She was efficient, composed, and friendly with hotel staff in Dubai. Her expenses were always covered. Then came her 5th trip, an ambitious push. In late September 2020, Tara attempted to smuggle £1.9 million across 3 suitcases. She was arrested at Heathrow before even boarding. Customs officials noticed inconsistencies in her travel pattern and flagged her bags. When opened, the suitcases revealed stacks of cash packed tightly with coffee, air fresheners, and carbon paper. It was the largest single seizure in the entire operation. The youngest known courier was Amy Harrison, a 27-year-old junior office worker from West Yorkshire. Quiet and unassuming, Amy was drawn in by someone she trusted, possibly Auti or Hanlon, and was told it was a travel gig with great perks. Her first run was in September 2020, and she carried around £800,000 in 2 suitcases. She followed the standard route, Emirates from Heathrow, arrive in Dubai, check into a luxury hotel, drop off the bags, and fly home within 48 hours. On her second trip in October, Amy was trusted with even more, £1.2 million packed across 3 bags. She later claimed she didn't fully understand what she was involved in, but her actions told a different story. She'd been coached, trained, and rewarded with £3,000 per trip. After a short lull following Tara Hanlon's arrest in October 2020, the operation didn't shut down, it adapted. Although one of their most effective couriers was now facing criminal charges, the network, still steered from the UAE by Abdullah Alfalasi, resumed activities by mid-2021. The method remained the same: Emirates business class flights, cash vacuum sealed in layers, and the same Dubai drop-off points. But this time, the coordination became even more discreet. The central figure in this new phase was Beatrice Orti. Having proven her value as a courier in early 2020, Orti was now promoted to the role of middlewoman. She wasn't just smuggling cash, she was organizing the entire UK side of the operation. Using encrypted messaging and a WhatsApp group nicknamed Sunshine and Lollipops, Orti coordinated flights, arranged couriers, and ensured bags were packed according to Alfalasi's detailed instructions. Messages would include precise weights for suitcases, how to mask the smell of currency using coffee and air fresheners, and updates on each courier's movement. Orti's role gave her a unique view of the entire machine, from courier recruitment to the handoffs in Dubai. But it also made her highly visible to law enforcement. Unknown to the couriers, the UK National Crime Agency (NCA) and Border Force had quietly begun tracking movements and monitoring communication. They were building a case, not just against individual couriers, but against the entire web of people helping Alfalasi move millions through Heathrow. By early 2022, the investigation had reached a tipping point. After more than a year of quiet surveillance, the NCA was ready to act. They had compiled flight records, seized messages from phones, and mapped out the full network of couriers, coordinators, and key handlers. The turning point came in March 2022, when the first major arrests were executed. On March 17, 2022, at Manchester Airport, Emma Larvin and Jonathan Johnson were arrested by NCA officers as they prepared to board yet another Emirates flight to Dubai. This time, however, they weren't carrying suitcases stuffed with cash. Instead, they were caught by surprise, flagged by authorities who had been tracking their travel patterns and financial records. Their past flights had raised red flags, frequent round trips to Dubai, often without clear business purposes, and always matching the courier timeline. Both were detained and interrogated on suspicion of being involved in the international movement of criminal property. They weren't the only ones. Around the same period, several other couriers were arrested across the UK, mostly at Heathrow and Manchester. Some were stopped while checking in for flights, others were pulled aside after returning from Dubai. Amy Harrison and other low-profile operatives were quietly brought in for questioning. In many cases, phones were seized, revealing encrypted messages, flight itineraries, and direct communication with Orti or her aliases. Several names in the Sunshine and Lollipops group chat were matched with frequent flyers, confirming their connection to the smuggling web. These arrests were the first visible blow to Alfalasi's operation. They sent a clear message: the network was no longer invisible. But even as couriers were detained on UK soil, the man orchestrating it all from Dubai remained untouched, for now. As the UK ramped up arrests and began preparing criminal charges against the couriers, attention soon turned to the man pulling all the strings from abroad, Abdullah Alfalasi, a well-connected Emirati national. Based in Dubai, Alfalasi had never set foot in the UK during the smuggling operations, yet his fingerprints were all over the money. With evidence mounting, from WhatsApp chats to flight and hotel records, the UK's National Crime Agency, NCA, began working through international channels, quietly involving UAE authorities. By late 2022, cooperation between the UK Border Force, Interpol, and Emirati investigators intensified. The UAE had already begun conducting internal reviews and restrictions, especially around high-value couriers entering the country. Multiple individuals involved in the cash deliveries were placed under movement restrictions or questioned locally. It became clear that the Emirati government, previously viewed as a safe haven for financial criminals, was now willing to act on international pressure. While extradition details remain partly undisclosed, Alfalasi was eventually brought to face trial in the UK. His involvement was no longer speculative. The court possessed banking evidence, communication logs, and even witness testimony linking him to the illegal cash exports. Though he initially claimed he was just helping friends move money, the court saw otherwise. In July 2022, Abdullah Alfalasi was convicted of orchestrating one of the largest cash smuggling operations ever uncovered between the UK and UAE. After a high-profile trial at a UK court, he was sentenced to 9 years and 7 months in prison. The judge described the operation as a highly coordinated conspiracy that showed a ruthless disregard for international law. Alfalasi's conviction marked a rare instance of a foreign national being tried for crimes committed by proxy, and it sent a message across borders. But Alfalasi wasn't the only one who faced justice. In June 2023, 11 of the UK-based couriers were formally convicted at Isleworth Crown Court. Sentences varied depending on how many trips each person made and their role in the operation. The key figures received the heaviest punishments. Emma Larvin was sentenced to 4 years and 6 months for organising and conducting multiple smuggling trips. Her partner, Jonathan Johnson, received 4 years and 6 months as well. Beatrice Orty, who acted as a key coordinator and recruiter, was handed 5 years and 6 months. Amy Harrison, the youngest of the group, received 2 years and 6 months, though her sentence reflected her cooperation and limited experience. Others, including unnamed couriers, received sentences ranging from 18 months to over 5 years, depending on their number of flights and cash carried. Some of the couriers had pleaded guilty early, hoping for reduced sentences. Others denied involvement, only to be convicted after a full trial. This case wasn't about criminal masterminds lurking in the shadows, it was about ordinary people, dressed in business-class attire, carrying millions in cash between 2 of the world's richest cities. They flew luxury routes, stayed in Dubai's finest hotels, and collected stacks of pounds wrapped in coffee-scented deception. What started in quiet corners of Heathrow grew into an empire of cash, lies, and digital trails, until the NCA, working alongside UAE authorities, brought it all crashing down. Some of the couriers had pleaded guilty early, hoping for reduced sentences. Others denied involvement, only to be convicted after a full trial. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, leave a comment below to share your thoughts or questions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss any videos. Until next time.